Hey guys, I wanted to make a vlog today on a requested topic from one of my subscribers named Megan L. And she was kind of wondering about the return to college and meeting new roommates and I guess living in a dorm, all those kind of things, how to handle it if you're someone dealing with social anxiety. So I want to broach that topic a little bit today. First, I'll give you a little background on myself. So I got through high school all right. Here in Quebec, we have CEGEP, which is 2 years of another school, which I guess is equivalent to college for those in the States or living in different places. And then you go to university after that for 3 years or however long your program is. So for myself, I'm in my last class in university this semester. I start next week, so I'm feeling a bit of the pressure myself. So basically how it worked for me is in high school I made a small group of friends. I wasn't too socially anxious back then. And then in CEGEP, I carried over with the same kind of friends, and then I met a couple of people along the way. The way I would meet people is because I was a little too embarrassed back then to wear glasses. I always felt like I looked really nerdy and geeky even though I was studying science anyway, so what does it matter? So I felt very self-conscious back then. I didn't want to wear them, so I would always turn to the person next to me and be like, hey, can you help me read the board? And that's how I got to meet some people without even meaning to make friends, but it worked out back then for me. And then when I entered university, I was able to meet a few friends along the way. But then what happened is my parents divorced during, I think it was my second semester in university. And basically when that happened, it really shook me. And I went into a pretty bad depression at that point. And then I started isolating myself. And I felt like I was out of the loop with everyone because I was moving forwards at a good place in life, going. So I did my high school experience, then I did science for 2 years, and then I went into specialize into biology, and I was going forwards, and then I just hit a wall, essentially. And that's when my social anxiety started. So that was a good number of years ago. And when I became depressed, what happened is it brought out my social anxiety because I would isolate myself, and I was talking to people less and less as it turns out. So it was a pretty low point in my life. So I wasn't really making friends anymore, and I was just going to school and just kind of like getting through my studies. So I guess my main point of advice is you got to remember the reason you're in school is to advance yourself in life. It is nice to meet people along the way, but the whole point is to focus in on your studies and push through it and get through it as best as you can. And ultimately, you have to just be yourself, I find that the worst thing you can do is always be thinking about how am I going to meet people, how am I going to make friends, stuff like that. The easiest way it happens is if you just let those thoughts go and you kind of just go about your daily life and you just keep going through like that, and I think you will meet people better off that way instead of thinking, I need to meet someone in this moment. That's where the trap is, basically. And sometimes I would turn to someone and be like, do you want to work on something together, or can you help me understand this concept? And that's a good way to kind of like ease into a conversation and get to know someone. As for the whole dorm life, I've never had that experience, to be very honest. I do not know what it's like. But honestly, really the best advice is to stay true to yourself and just be yourself. And I feel like the more you stay true to yourself and you focus on the other person and what they're trying to say and what they're trying to tell you, the easier it will become. Because that's the problem with social anxiety. For the most part, when you're feeling really socially anxious, you're worrying about yourself. You're worrying about what you're doing with your hands, what you look like, what you're saying, or you're saying something stupid. What you gotta do is just take all that focus off yourself, and once you do have a conversation with someone, think about what they're saying, try and learn something about them, be interested in what they're telling you. And when that spotlight is off of yourself, it makes it a lot easier to kind of relax and everything. And I actually get a lot of depressive symptoms before the school year starts. I believe it was after the first day of high school I actually got home and I threw up because I was so anxious and overwhelmed. I get very easily overwhelmed by social experiences, especially when you're in big crowded places with lots of people. But you gotta keep the goal in mind. The goal is to get your studies done, to move forwards in life, and then to ultimately get to a better place. So that's what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to not be as preoccupied with friendships as much as just trying to get through my classes and really excel. And I know that might sound a little bit lonely, but if you are feeling like you want to meet someone in your class, make that first step, but then focus on them. That's what I can say, especially if you're having, say, a dorm situation and you have to meet people. Just casually strike up a conversation and then just listen to what they have to say and it will get easier and easier, because the more you get to know someone, the more they become a part of your comfort zone, the more that it doesn't become as stressful anymore. It's always that first interaction that's the hardest step to take, and trust me, I know that's my biggest anxiety as well, to really be like starting up a conversation with someone. But you'll also feel very proud of yourself if you're able to do that. Another thing I'd really recommend is, if you can join a school gym, do that. I don't necessarily mean team sports and all that stuff, which would be great, but just get in there, exercise. It will boost your mood, it will make you feel better, it will get you out of any depressive slump you might have to do with returning to school, keep your energy up, able to focus better on your studies, and maybe even be more social. Because I feel like when I'm feeling really good and taking care of my health, I almost want to talk to people more. So I would recommend trying to take good care of yourself by eating well, by exercising, trying to interact with people just through your own healthy experiences. See if maybe even someone wants to come join the gym with you. I met some gym buddies that way, and that was actually a really good way for me to meet people as well. You can ask someone how to use a machine, you can kind of just get chatting with someone. You'd be surprised how many conversations can be struck up in the gym. And for myself, I know that my gym through the school is a lot cheaper than some of the other gyms that you can attend, so I would recommend that. I think that the healthiest you can keep yourself, the better able you'll be able to socialize and to be a happier person in general. Because I know they say, what is it, the freshman 15 or something, people that move out and people that start school, they gain all this weight. For myself, I actually lost weight because I took the health as the priority, and just taking good care of myself and really nurturing myself and making sure that I was doing all the right things for me made myself better able to meet people and interact with them in that way. So if you don't understand a topic, instead of maybe always going to the teacher or the TA first, the teacher's assistant, try and turn to the person next to you and ask them, because that's how I met a lot of my friends that way actually. If you don't understand a concept, you need a little bit of help. And of course, if they don't completely get it, at least you can laugh about it together, and then you can actually go get help from the teacher. But all to say that there's these little ways that you can get to know somebody. Or sometimes I would even be brave enough to turn to the person next to me and make a little bit of a comment like, isn't that funny what they said, or whatever. And even if you don't get the response you wanted or anticipated, at least you made that social step forwards. So it's honestly about all those little steps. But I just really want you guys to keep in mind, those of you that are in school, that you're there for the education. That's a priority. You're putting this money into getting an education, so focus on that. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm taking my last neuroscience class starting next week. It's going to be a very difficult class, and I'm also challenging myself, because I could be taking a class where there's 200 people in the class, but I'm taking one that's going to be like 10 or 15 people. So I am nervous, but I'm pushing myself, because I know that way, the smaller classes, the easier it is to pay attention and to potentially meet people in that room. And I think I'll be taking my own advice and trying to strike up small conversations with people around me, see if we can work together, because you got to remember, you're all in that together, you're all in the same position. If you're in the same class, you're likely in the same program or the same field or something similar, and so why not talk to someone who's going to most likely have similar interests to you? So it's just all about those little steps, my precious gems. I hope this video helped you a little bit, Megan L. I know it's a little difficult because I'm coming from the perspective of someone with social anxiety as well. So it's not like I have all this cure-all advice for you, but I just want to tell you what I've been doing myself over the years, coming from someone who's 26 and who's had a little experience dealing with these kind of social interactions. So thanks for watching, my precious gems. Until next time.